more time. Hey, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Down Home Dirt, the show where we dive deep into the journey of entrepreneurship with those who took the plunge and all the ups and downs that come with it. And today we are recording live at TMS Digital. And I want to introduce you to my special guest,
Kirstyn Yancy.
And what do you do here?
I am a marketing specialist and a self-proclaimed local business advocate in the Johnston County area. And that's about it.
And how long have you lived here?
So I have lived in the Triangle cumulatively 15 years. I had a 5-year break where I lived in Austin, Texas. However, I have worked, even during that 5-year break in Austin, I was still working for TMS Digital. So I've worked for, which my dad owns the company, and I've worked for him for, August was 20 years.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's amazing. I lived in Austin too. I made the mistake of getting married there by a judge who was holding a gun and threatening to shoot him if he ran. So that was my interesting Texas story.
That's all of the aspects of Texas just rolled into one right there.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is new and different.
Was it a shotgun? Was it a legit shotgun wedding?
I wish, honestly. No, she was strapped and she's like, I'm like, oh, okay. This is serious. All right. Anyways.
Well, I also got married in Austin, but nobody was holding a gun to me.
Yeah, that was new and different for me. It happened to be the same, not weekend, but week that they had legalized gay marriage. Oh. So instead of being able to get married in Travis County, we had to get married in Bastrop, which was just the next county over because there was no wait.
Yeah.
Now I see that maybe I should have waited, but that's a whole nother story. So tell me about this business. When did your dad start it and how did that all come about?
So he started the company July 8th of 1998. It was him, his and his two buddies at the time, started in Rocky Mount. And he had worked for, he had been in advertising prior, worked for corporate, and like most entrepreneurs, the corporate scene just kind of kills you inside. And
yes, I agree.
And so, and actually, he tells the story. He had a woman boss, and she actually was the one that encouraged him to start his own company. So he moved out to North Carolina from, he was in Ohio at the time. He moved to North Carolina, and again, him and his two friends at the time just decided to start, at the time it was a phone book company because 1988, we got to go back those many years. And again, started in Rocky Mount, and then in 2001 was when he got the property here in Clayton. So, and then 2004 was when he met my mom. So he's actually my stepdad, but I call him my dad because he's been since I was 15. And 2004 was when they married, and I moved up here from Houston, and it was my very first summer job, and I never left.
That's an amazing story, honestly. Yeah. I have ADHD, and I'm an entrepreneur, so I can never say I've been anywhere longer than 6 years. I have one job for 6 years, and I was working at Pizza Hut. That is all I got. Other than that, it's 3 months bored.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I can count my company. It's been 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's my second longest.
I would say that you could count your company.
Yeah. We'll do that. Okay. But before that was just Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
I love them so much. I worked for them for 6 years and I just couldn't stop. I don't care how much they didn't pay me.
Yeah.
I always loved the job because it was different every day.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And then, that's when I got into my own business, and I was like, well, it doesn't have to be the same every day because you get different clients, different houses, different. And so I just need something that kind of constantly changes.
Yeah.
And I realized that.
Sales does that. Client-facing roles do that in general. Yeah. So
I think that's where I'm really good at because I'm great with sales. But at the same time, it's like I'm doing everything with my own business, not just the sales.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes a toll on you because you're just like, all right, next.
Yeah.
So that's when you have to figure out who's going to do it, not how you're going to do it.
A little bit of both. Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Entrepreneurship
is so much fun.
Yeah. I wish I could be like, who's going to do this for me? But no, I have to woman up and do it myself.
That's right.
Yes.
Season 2 is all about women.
Yes.
So tell us about who your ideal client is and what you do for them.
So we work solely with small businesses. Our niche is home services. So the one-man, two-man show up to 50 employees is really our spot right there. And as far as why I say home services, that just kind of happened organically. Usually the phone number that you find on a business card or on their truck, car, etc., is the owner of said business. So that just kind of happened over time. As far as the services that we provide and how we help them, I always say everything starts from a website. So we want to make sure that we get their online presence right and then kind of work everything up from there. So search engine optimization, local listing management, social media marketing, all that good stuff. Just making sure that where they are offline is fully represented online as well. So,
I love that.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm learning so much. This is all new to me, so I don't know. I just when I started my business, I still don't know anything about marketing when it comes to that. So it's just me out there being like, "Hi, I have a business," and I understand that there's more to it now. I didn't at the beginning. I was like, no one cares about if I have a cleaning company has a website. Yes, they do actually, and that legitimizes you. So
100%.
I'm realizing that.
Yeah, that's one of the like that you said that because it's one of the words that we use quite often, and I have to be very careful about how I present that word to certain people. And I'm like, not saying that you're not legit. However, a website helps to legitimize your business because obviously you are legit. You're totally legit. However, so 60% of referrals, those so 2 out of 3 people still want to do their research. Even, like your best friend gives your name to 3 people, 2 of those 3 people still want to look you up. So, you could be missing out on 60% by not having a strong digital presence.
That's true. And someone like myself who is going to go, oh, I saw a truck that had a sign on it, and then I'm going to Google it and nothing comes up. I'm like, well, is that like an FBI van? And they just slapped it on there, right? Because that's what I immediately think of.
I'm like, is it just like Joe Schmo that just decided to buy a $50 magnet to slap on there too? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think branding is very important. Don't just be a guy in a truck. And that is from our sponsor, Zucchini Inc.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring up Zucchini Inc. So I work very closely with her. So anytime that somebody comes in here and they're looking for, promotional products that, we don't provide, I'm like, hey, I can't do that. However, I got a girl. I have a stack of her cards. I keep a stack of her cards in my cubicle for that reason. And I make sure that once I'm sending the information over to her that we work together as far as what their business cards and banners and stuff like that look like. And so it's, cohesive with what their online presence looks like. So I don't want their, business card to be, teal and black and what they see on the site is red and blue, So
I'm laughing because I've been there. Yeah. She actually was like, hey, listen, maybe if you make everything kind of uniform and do these changes, it'll be easier for you and it'll look, and I was like, okay, here you go, have some money. I can't. Not it. And she's like, okay, so she's the one who's gotten all of my branding to look as good as it does, and like everything matches. We've got the payment envelopes that match and the logo. Yes. I just highly recommend.
Branding.
She's absolutely amazing. I'm really glad that you brought her up too, because she's great. Yeah. So I like to tell people about her. So
I've sent her dozens of referrals. Yeah.
Yes. I love it. So let's talk about your ready moment that kind of made you jump into working for your stepdad. I know that this is probably, you said you were 15, so like what was the whole thing?
It wasn't. It was kind of forced upon me.
Sorry, Michaela.
So, child of divorce, and I had an attitude. Imagine that, 15-year-old teenager, and single mom, blah, blah, blah. So moving from Houston to North Carolina, and I don't know this area. Who's this guy? All the attitude. And I had a friend who came up for the first 2 weeks that we lived here to kind of help me get adjusted. And then once she went back to Houston on a Saturday morning, Jeff, my stepdad, he goes, hey, be ready by 7 a.m. on Monday. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, yeah, you're coming to the office with me. And I was like, but what? He goes, yeah, too bad, so sad. It's happening. And I was like, awesome. And so the first 2 weeks, there was a month left in the summer. The first 2 weeks was me being put in the server room, hotter than Hades, filing paperwork. I still had to be dressed to the nines, even though nobody was seeing me. And then Friday of that second week, he goes, hey, next week, don't worry about, business clothes. Just come in shorts and a t-shirt. And I was like, oh, thank God. And he goes, oh, no, you'll be delivering phone books. And I was like, what? It's like, what are you doing to me? So that broke the attitude real quick. So that's that sense of work ethic. And then from there, I had always done some form of data entry when we were, on school breaks. He would take me to the office to do stuff in office. And then when I came back full-time after my stint in Austin and came back full-time in 2015, I was doing administrative assistant work and then also a sales development representative for the sales team. And one day I had set an appointment for such and such, and then they couldn't run that appointment. And so I just went through all of the other reps and none of them could make it. And I looked at my dad and I go, should I call and reschedule? I don't, and he goes, no. He goes, you know what you're talking about. You run the appointment. I was like, okay, ran the appointment. It's sold. He's still one of my clients. My very first sales. I meet with him on the 29th. I see him, and his wife has got a baking business, so Aww. He wants to introduce me to his wife. So that happened. I got back to the office, and he goes, hey, Craig, who's one of our other sales guy, he goes, he's going to be here in an hour. You're going to go out in the field with him. You're in sales now. I was just like, what? So it wasn't really anything that I had planned. It was just kind of balls in your court now, deal with it. And then I just kind of fell in love with it. I grew up wanting to be a teacher, and a lot of what we do is educating people. So it just kind of, yeah, I love it. And I love the networking aspect too. So I get to network, and so as you can tell, I like to talk and I like to meet people, and so I feel like if I were an introvert, this never would have worked out, but that's not me at all.
So it sounds like he saw something in you,
yes,
and was like, let's run with it.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love that. Yeah. That's perfect that he stepped up and realized that too. Yeah. I think that's very important. I try to do the same thing with my kids.
Yeah.
My daughter, she runs a photography business, and I was like, I'm not going to tell you no.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, here's the person for the cards. Here's the networking event. Here's this. Yeah. Go with it.
Empowering.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's really great.
Yeah.
So speaking of teaching, what are some of the common challenges that people face when it comes to digital marketing, and how could you help them overcome it?
A lot of people, okay, so you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink, okay? So I have to educate people on it's not spending, it's an investment, and the challenge is getting them to recognize the investment aspect of it, because I can sit here and, and it's not our stats, these are third-party polls that have been taken year over year, stats that have come out. They're not even Google stats, because of course Google's going to be biased about these things. But the biggest challenge is just getting small businesses to understand that it's not spending money, it's investing in your company. So I'd say that's the biggest challenge.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you, because I've been there myself, where I'm like, well, I have this money and I could invest it, or I could just not. I could just spend it on something, a brand new vacuum or whatever the thing may be. Yeah. And I'm like, so it's always making sure that you are giving back to your business as much as it's giving to you.
Exactly.
I do feel like that is a challenge, especially being an entrepreneur. You just don't know when and where sometimes.
Yeah. So it's,
That's why I bring that up, because something that's been a theme on this podcast is getting a coach, whether it's a life coach, a business coach, etc. But even Michael Jordan had a coach.
Yeah.
So, making sure that someone's there to coach you, because this journey is very tough alone.
Yeah. One of the things, my favorite clients are the ones that ask me questions every, there's a few that I'll hear from every month that they're like, hey, I was thinking about this. What's your thoughts on me doing this? And I'm like, oh, I love that. Like, it gives me the feel goods because that means that they wholly trust my advice, And I'm like, oh, that's actually an awesome idea. Or maybe not do that. I love that you're thinking outside of the box, but not so much. Like, that would be throwing your money away. How about you come to a chamber event with me?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I see all the time on like the different Facebook groups and stuff. People will be like, hey, how much are you spending on Facebook ads? And I'm like, honestly, I report them as offensive because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't sell to me. I don't have a cat. Why are you selling me cat litter?
Yeah.
That's just the most recent one.
I do have a cat, and the cat litter ad, I had to see it like 12 times before I bought it, but I am obsessed with pretty litter. So, but all you have to do is say cat a couple of times and then you're going to get it in your feed. So thank you, Patriot Act.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And I'm like, and it's probably because I leave my TV on and there's this Feel Away commercial. And so I guess it is my own fault.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, like stop telling me about things I don't want to buy.
Or if you were at a house and you're like, oh God, it smells like litter in here. And then that could also... Yeah.
Lots of realizations just happened.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of people's houses too.
Yes, so here I am. I'm educating you on marketing. There we go.
This again, I don't know. Yeah. So I appreciate that because that explains a whole lot more actually.
So you're like, oh yeah, there was that one. Susie Q's house did smell to high heaven. No.
Or somebody will ask me about a product and I'll be like, no, don't use it. And then I get ads and I'm like, I said no.
To not use it.
Don't do this.
No, on the topic of social media marketing, like how I was telling you before this started, the guy who called in about employment, and we actually, it was at the beginning of the year, I spearheaded making sure that our social media marketing campaigns are all very personal. And by very personal, you get this face. It's like right here. It's not a professional videographer, but I'm in front of my laptop and I'm speaking from the heart, have no script. So I had to do it about 7 times because, I screwed up my name one time. Like just all over the place until finally I was like, I think I got that right. And yeah, that was the one. Once we really personalized it, those were the ones that got the biggest traction over just the Canva put together, that you see everywhere.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. When I started out with my business, I was like, cool, we need free resources because we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I give Wendy this Canva. She looks at me and she goes, Canva, huh? And I was like, that's your job. Here you go. Have fun. Bye.
This is just a starting point. Just go from it.
Yeah. She just looked at it and she's like, oh, you have no idea. And I was like, yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm probably not the only person that does that.
I've actually called her out. Not called her out, but I tagged her in a post because I remember during one of her presentations she had talked about, she found a business card that, like a Vistaprint, where the same layout was for a hairdresser and a painter, had the same card. So I was going through a stack of business cards and I found 4 of the very same business card. And I was just like, I took a picture of it and I posted it as a story and I tagged her in it. And I was like, does this ring a bell? I was like, how frustrating is this for you? She goes, you have no idea. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
It is too. Or like they all want to get the really cheap ones that are like real flimsy and
this paper is better than it. Yeah.
And I'm like, so I know we all have to start somewhere. Yeah. And I did start there too. I'm going to be honest with you. But then when they came out with, I think it was Avery, that you could put it in the printer and print it. And then if you got it wet, it would just, the ink would smear. I've done that before. This was years ago. Yeah. But no, now I'm just like, Miss Wendy.
Yeah. And you're like, it's worth a little bit more to, And her pricing isn't that bad. I remember the first time I met with her, I was like, oh, full color, both sides for that. Okay.
She's done all of my branding since then. Even with the podcast, I have business cards that are suede, and that was something else that I learned. So my suede ones, like, everyone wants to touch, right?
God.
And then I've got the ones for my cleaning company are iridescent.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wanted it to sparkle.
Yes.
So I definitely want to make sure that I was different from everyone else.
Oh, for sure. When I pass somebody her card, the suede one, they're like, this is my girl. Like, I don't care what the price.
And they'll just stand there. Yeah, tell me more. And you're like, okay, picked a good one, didn't I?
Yeah. Like, I'm resourceful. Thank you.
I love it. I love that we can circle back. I love Wendy. So you are a marketer, but I do always like to ask, like, what is your main marketing strategy to get people to come in to see you?
So it's currently about 50-50. I still do a lot of cold calling. However, about 50% is referral as well. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of years of networking that I've put in, both through the Clayton Chamber of Commerce and Business Networking International. So it's funny, I'll go somewhere and people are like, you look familiar. And then I start naming off, and they're like, yeah, probably one of those places. I'm like, yeah, you've seen me.
I exist in the world.
So, at this point it's 50-50 cold calls and referrals. So I'm happy with that ratio. It's not 100% cold calls anymore. So
no, that's got to be great. One of the things that we talk about a lot on the podcast is networking and how important it is to put yourself out there and put yourself in rooms that you need to meet new people. Yeah. So I try to tell people always go to a new networking event, meet somebody new, enjoy.
Are you familiar with Next Level Electric, Joe Rossetto?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I called him on I think it was it had to have been a Thursday morning. And he onboarded, and I said, well, what are you doing tomorrow morning? And it was Good Morning Clayton that next day. And he was so nervous about it. I said, I'll be there. I'll hold your hand, yada, yada. And he joined the chamber the next month. And then I forced him to go to a BNI. And now he's in Rotary. He's all over the place. I'm like, yeah. The Kool-Aid's pretty good. Like, it's nerve-wracking, but just drink it, I promise.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like networking is an addiction, honestly, sometimes, because you're like, I want to be at all the events, not just one or two.
And then I look at my calendar and I'm like, I can't do all. Where's...
Yeah, 1,000%. That's me sometimes, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could be at all these. And then you see pictures and you're like, man, I have FOMO now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like so bad.
Yeah.
Especially in Clayton, because there's so many great local businesses, and when they do the bash for the chamber,
I'm so much better at the morning ones. I used to be a night owl. Now I'm an early bird. So like you'll find me at the morning ones. As soon as it gets to 5:30, I'm like, I should be making dinner right now.
We're the same. It's okay.
I may be 30-something, but inside I'm an 85-year-old woman.
And there is a lot of joy in that. I'm going to be honest. Okay.
There really is.
You're sewing, you're knitting, you're dinner early. I don't know why people think it's so bad.
I know.
I'm like, let me do it.
Yeah.
Listen, I put my Christmas tree up so that I could watch Christmas movies and just drink cocoa.
Yeah.
And, be in bed, make my soups.
I enjoy my supper,
Yes.
Yes.
Supper. I love when someone says that. It makes me laugh so hard. So we have this beautiful mural behind you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about this?
So this would have happened in, I want to say it was 2021. I got tired of the whole, it was all blue for the longest time. And I just randomly asked my dad, hey, can I pick up some chalkboard paint? And I want to paint this wall. And he goes, okay. I said, well, that was easy. And then, so every once in a while I'll change out the, little sayings that we have back there. And then this nice little area right there is actually what we call the kids' corner. So if we have any of our employees have to bring their kids in, or any appointments, if they have to bring their kids in, I'm like, hey, here's some chalk, and they just go to town. This one, actually, it was so funny. I gave this little guy chalk, and I'm talking to his dad, It wasn't even 5 minutes. I look back over at him. This kid is covered in chalk from head to toe. I mean, he's got pink and yellow in his hair. I mean, you can't even see the color of his hair anymore. And I was like, oh my God. I started laughing. And he looks at me. And I go, no, I'm not laughing at you. You did great job. It's great drawing, And I was like, I looked at the dad. I go, I am so sorry. He goes, it's fine. My truck's a mess. It's just, I need to get it cleaned anyway. The kid walked. I was just like, well, this is fantastic. So, my favorite story about the chalk wall actually is, we had so Barbie, who's one of our sales development representatives, she, her daughter was 11 at the time, brought her in, and she was sitting in her office